Hello, everyone. Welcome in to the Friday edition of To The Point podcast. I apologize for yesterday. Something came up last minute, couldn't get here in time, but we are locked and loaded today. Casey Ward's going to join me in about 45 minutes. And as you all know, the mantra of this podcast, the mantra of me really, is I don't root for teams. I don't root for fan bases. I root for content. And my God, have the content gods showered upon me today. Because I could talk about the NHL trades. I could talk about rumors. There's March Madness. Watched a lot of that yesterday. There's NBA stories. And then there's the story, the sport, the theater that just keeps on giving. The gift that keeps on giving, and that would be the National Football League. This sport, and at first I'm like, okay, I'll start with Davante Adams. He's going to the Las Vegas Raiders in a stunning turn of events that I didn't see coming at all. Shocked me when I read it last night. But just prior to the start of today's show, I'm sitting here and okay, we'll start with this topic and we'll go here and mapping it out. And it, of course, pops up on my phone. Deshaun Watson has chosen the Cleveland Browns in a stunning turn of events as the team he wants to go to. He will waive a no-trade clause. And not only that, Cleveland will re-sign Deshaun Watson to a 5-year deal worth $230 million, meaning 46 schmil a season. I'm blown away because yesterday Adam Schefter, maybe I shouldn't trust as much as I do anymore, reported that the Cleveland Browns were out, that Deshaun had said, no, I'm not going to the Brownies. I'm going to the NFC South. Then we heard Carolina was out this morning. So it was down to the Falcons or it was down to the Saints. And the Saints and Falcons were both working to have the ability to acquire Deshaun Watson. What I mean by that is the Saints have restructured contracts of Taysom Hill, Demario Davis, Malcolm Jenkins. I'm missing a few guys, but moving money back, pushing it into signing bonuses so that they could fit him in under the cap, presumably giving him a new contract or just being able to afford his current deal. The Falcons owe Matt Ryan a roster bonus supposed to be tonight. That could push back to Tuesday because it looks like they're going to try to trade Matt Ryan. So this gave them a few extra days to move the deck chairs around just in case they acquire Deshaun Watson. Matt Ryan can go elsewhere. So, first of all, my initial reaction, I said this the other day. I believe that Cleveland was the best destination for Deshaun Watson. I said that, and the reason I'm saying that is because I think it is the best location for him to win a Super Bowl the fastest. Now, the NFC is severely weaker than the AFC. I get that. But also, I like the Cleveland roster a lot. They have a great offensive line, something Deshaun never had in Houston. They have one of the best running back tandems in the NFL in Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb, the Pro Bowler. Jarvis Landry is gone. Austin Hooper is gone, but they have Njoku. I do think they'll make moves to acquire some talent. I'm interested to see what they do. I think the draft, they're clearly going to trade Deshaun Watson, so it likely won't be a first-round pick this year. So they're going to have to be creative. Receiving core, I still think is a question mark, but Deshaun Watson is so good that he can make up for a lackluster receiving core. And I'm not a hot take guy. I'm not going to say Cleveland's going to win the Super Bowl because they made this move. Because what we got to remember is Cleveland is going to try to trade for Deshaun Watson. He's decided he will waive it. They still have to agree to the terms of the trade. but the deal is done when it comes to his financial side. But he might be suspended next season. He's still going through civil lawsuits. Criminally, he is clean. But he has 22 civil lawsuits that he's still going through. Maybe he'll be found innocent. We still got to wait and see on that. If he decides to pay up and it's settled outside of court, I think there's a good chance he's suspended. So Cleveland could be acquiring a quarterback that is not even available come week one, come the second week of September next season. But there's also, we want to make this move. We want to do different things. And to me, you have him under contract for so many years. Maybe next year isn't the year that you're all in, so to speak. Or it's not the year you win the Super Bowl. But the Cleveland Browns have been so inept at that position at quarterback for so long, they needed to do something like this. We'll get to the Baker side of it in a second, which is so fascinating as well. But Desean is last seen, he missed a whole season. So maybe he won't come back the same player, but I can only judge on what I've seen. Deshaun Watson, the last time he was on the field, was a top 5 quarterback. Top 5. To me, he's uber talented. He's got a great arm. He can run. Mahomes, Allen, but there's not many quarterbacks I would take over Deshaun Watson. Legal issues aside, this is just pure talent. And for Cleveland, I applaud them for doing this. Now, them saying they want an adult at quarterback, I take a little bit of I don't love that comment because, quite frankly, they are acquiring a guy that has a lot of personal stuff that's legal issues, and I wouldn't call that an adult. But so I guess the trade is now official. Yes, the trade is now official. We're waiting to hear. Sounds like it's going to be. So I'm waiting for my Twitter to load here. Read some Adam Schefter. Hopefully this one is correct. So Peter Schrager says, I was just told this is a Herschel Walker-like trade, 3 firsts and a lot more to come at NFL Network. And Adam Schefter also says, every dollar of Deshaun Watson's new 5-year, $230 million deal is guaranteed, setting a new record for the highest guarantee given to any NFL player. Wow. $230 million guaranteed. To think, and this is how funny life is. Deshaun Watson the other day was just cleared of criminal charges. That was last Friday, a week today. And now, a week later, he is signing the richest contract in the history of professional football. A week later, he could be suspended for half the season next year. Just for reference, Ben Roethlisberger had some sexual charges levied against him. They were dropped. He was still suspended 4 games. That is a quarter of the NFL season. The same could happen to Deshaun Watson, and yet he's going to be making all this money. Now, maybe the NFL will say Deshaun didn't play a game last year. He was a model citizen, if you will, in Houston. And they'll view that as a suspension because he could have played. He just didn't. I don't know. But again, I still think it's worth the gamble. So Browns and Texans still are finalizing official trade compensation for Deshaun Watson, but it's expected to include 3 first-round picks, a 3rd-round pick, and potentially a 5th-round pick, league sources tell ESPN. 5 picks for Watson. Wow. I mean, this is kind of the offensive line. You have Deshaun, Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt, Amari Cooper, who they traded. I forgot they traded for Amari Cooper. Donovan Peoples-Jones, Jamari Grant, Njoku. And their offensive line is still great. I mean, Jedrick Wills, who's a Pro Bowler. Joe Boltonio, who might be going to the Hall of Fame one day. Wyatt Teller, Pro Bowl at right guard. And Jack Conklin, who has been a Pro Bowl player in his career. But I'm blown away at this. I can't. But I like this move better for Desean because Atlanta, there's a reason Atlanta has been really bad the last number of years. And it's not like Matt Ryan's a good quarterback. Matt Ryan has won an MVP. Matt Ryan might go to the Hall of Fame. And they've missed the playoffs 7-9. It's constantly just hearsay. It's just okay. Their defense is always porous. I don't trust that. The Saints, I like the Saints roster. To me, it was either Saints or Cleveland because I like the two rosters the best. I think the Saints have a great defense. Mario Davis, I love. They got a great pass rush. So Marshawn Lattimore, they did lose Marcus Williams, the Pro Bowl safety, to the Baltimore Ravens. But there's question marks. Is Michael Thomas coming back? He's been out for basically 2 seasons. Tight end, you're trying to find somebody. And other than that, the wide receiver position is pretty thin. But this is groundbreaking. It's crazy. Now my biggest question is, you do this deal, and could this be more of an indictment on Baker Mayfield? Because the Houston Texans, who have been awful the last couple of seasons, just traded a first round pick in Deshaun Watson. You're thinking, well, they're trading all these guys. Maybe they'll want a quarterback off the roster of the Cleveland Browns. And not just any quarterback, a former first overall pick in the 2018 NFL draft. No interest. I'm reading now. They had no interest in Baker Mayfield. They didn't want him. He was never going to be included in this deal. This is actually better for Cleveland because now they can trade Baker for more compensation. They can trade him and maybe get a first-round pick in this year's draft. But let's just talk about Baker for a second. Casey's going to join. He's a big Browns fan, so we'll talk about it. But I like Baker Mayfield. I don't love Baker Mayfield. I think he's tough. I think he's got a lot of great intangibles. But do I think Baker Mayfield can win you a Super Bowl? I don't. Because he's had a really good Cleveland roster. He couldn't make it work with Odell Beckham Jr. He's had multiple different head coaches. He's had great running game, one of the best offensive lines. And yet last year I thought this is the year for Cleveland. This team could go on a run. This team could potentially, they were my sleeper to get to a Super Bowl. They missed the playoffs. And did their defense have as good of a season as I thought they would? No. The running backs were in and out. But it all comes back to the quarterback. I think Deshaun Watson could have got that team to the playoffs last year. Baker didn't. Was he hurt? Yes. But he complained about it, and it was an excuse. And it's always drama with Baker Mayfield. It always seems to be more about progressive and more about intact insurance than it is about the dog pound, than it is about playing football. And you could argue, a fair argument, that Deshaun Watson has not been focused on football. He's been focused on illegal activity, massages, and whatever else this guy's getting into in his personal life over the last 15 months. But the NFL is business. People will look at this trade, people will look at Deshaun Watson as a negative the rest of his life. And you know what? Maybe that's fair. But business is business. And where we sit right now, Deshaun Watson is an asset. Deshaun Watson is a talent, an uber talent. He has his warts. He will probably the rest of his life, it'll carry with him. But teams don't care. Big Ben stayed in Pittsburgh. He won a Super Bowl after these allegations. Michael Vick went to jail. He came out. He got a job with Philly right away. Ray Rice never did, but that was caught on camera. That was different. Adrian Peterson, who I still think was unfairly labeled as a child abuser, came back, won an MVP. Guys are given certain labels. They're given certain perceptions of them. But this is an opportunity for Deshaun to overcome it. But it's also a story of this could be a tale where the Cleveland Browns give out the most guaranteed money in the history of the NFL, and they look back on it as a horror story, as it being one of the worst decisions the management's ever made, and they've made a lot of them. I mean, they drafted Brandon Weeden. They've drafted some trash. They've had some terrible seasons. This could be a great story. I don't see it being a middle one. There's trades where you're like, okay, I could see both teams getting something out of this. And it could be a good story for both. I don't see this in Cleveland. I think it's going to be great. Maybe win a Super Bowl, dog pound, great parade, Deshaun Watson, overcomes his issues. Or it's a complete train wreck. It's one or the other. Either way, it's content. I win. But Baker Mayfield the other night requested a trade. And just last night, the Cleveland Browns said, no, we're not trading you. He says, no, our relationship's over. I want to be moved. No, Cleveland says, not going to happen. Well, this tells me this trade happened today. They probably didn't think. They probably, we're going to give it one last shot with Deshaun. And kudos to them because they didn't quit. And they probably had to sell Deshaun Watson on Cleveland with money. That's how you sell people. Because Cleveland's done nothing over the last 20 plus years to entice anyone to go there. They've mismanaged. They've had bad coaching, bad quarterback, bad drafts, but they gave the most money. You threw a little carrot out there and you said, hey, come bite, and somebody did. Credit to them. Credit to them for getting it done. But now, where does Baker go? Well, I look around. Houston didn't want him, which again is still funny to me. I'm trying to think on the fly. I like the Colts. I think the Colts are an easy pick here. They are a team that doesn't have a quarterback right now, but they are a team that has a roster that could win a Super Bowl. And they're sort of similar to Cleveland because I like Cleveland's defense a lot. I like the running game. I like the Colts defense. Darius Leonard is a stud. You still have DeForest Buckner. You got a lot of good players there. And Jonathan Taylor, one of the best backs in football. And you could argue that the Colts have a better receiving core than the Cleveland Browns. So I think Baker Mayfield would fit in Indianapolis. Now, would the Colts be getting another version of Carson Wentz? You could argue that. But for Baker, he would be going to a division where he would be playing the Houston Texans, who are not going to be good next year. He's going to be playing the Jacksonville Jaguars, who just spent a lot of money in free agency. But despite spending all that money, I don't know how much better they really got. And they have a sophomore quarterback in Trevor Lawrence. And then you have the Titans, who still look pretty good on paper. But that's a fit for me. If Matt Ryan departs Atlanta, I could see Atlanta being interested in Baker Mayfield. Because there's teams that need a quarterback. Tampa got that feel, but I look at Atlanta. It's the Saints. because Jameis Winston's still a free agent. Marcus Mariota is still a free agent. So these quarterbacks have to go somewhere. Baker is better than Jameis Winston at this point, in my opinion. But Colts, Atlanta, New Orleans, Jets got their quarterback. Bills, obviously. Miami's got their quarterback. The Giants, the Eagles, they have a lot of draft capital. I don't see them trading away Jalen Hurts, trading away draft capital. What would be interesting, I don't think they do this in division, Baker to Pittsburgh, but that's not going to happen. I do think he'd be better than Mitch Trubisky. But honestly, I think the Colts or Seattle are the two best options. If I was to Seattle, I would inquire, because Seattle still has DK Metcalf. They still have Tyler Lockett. Chris Carson's a decent back. Their defense is going through changes. But even getting a Baker Mayfield, it would be like Detroit getting Jared Goff. You get a quarterback that will make you at least competitive. You don't want to be god-awful. You want to be involved in close games, even if you lose them, because there's only so many home games every year. You get 8 home games. You want people to show up. Seattle's had Russell Wilson forever. It's a tough sell putting Drew Lock out there week 1. Say he's starting 17 games this season. I love football. I'll watch them. But on a Sunday, am I going to go out of my way to watch the Seattle Seahawks when I know Drew Lock is missing DK Metcalf wide open down the field? Probably not. Now, we'll talk about DK Metcalf in a minute. But I think Colts and Seattle make the most sense. Because the NFC West, again, otherwise, you got San Francisco's got Trey Lance. You got, obviously, the Rams with Stafford is locked up. You got Kyler Murray. I think Colts and Seattle are making the most sense. I'm just going to checking Twitter on the fly with new information on this Deshaun Watson deal. If you're just joining the show, he's accepted. He's waived his no trade to go to the Cleveland Browns after Adam Schefter saying the other day that he was out on Cleveland, and he's getting traded for 3 first-round picks and a second-rounder and a third. So 5 picks for Deshaun Watson, and he will also re-sign in Cleveland for 5 years, $230 million, all completely guaranteed. I can't believe, I'm still in shock. I know this, I don't know, Baker will now be traded for sure. And just reading here, even LeBron James tweeting out about the Cleveland Browns acquiring Deshaun Watson, even though LeBron's a Dallas Cowboys fan. So, kind of a hypocritical thing there from LeBron, but that's kind of par for the course. But yeah, so now it's, where does Baker end up? But we'll go back. We'll talk about Deshaun more, because I know Casey will want to get his 2 thoughts in here, his 2 cents in here. He's a big Browns fan. Maybe doesn't even know the news yet, so we'll break that to him in about 20 minutes. Last night, and this was also a stunner because I didn't see this coming, the Green Bay Packers traded all-pro wide receiver, you could argue the best wide receiver in football, Davante Adams, to the Las Vegas Raiders for a first-rounder in 2022 and a second-rounder in 2022. Meaning that after Aaron Rodgers, one of the biggest divas in pro sports, one of the most, is mental state, I wouldn't call it the most secure mental state, the Packers have agreed to trade his best asset, one of his best buddies, to Las Vegas. And it's since been reported that the Las Vegas Raiders did not offer as much money as the Packers were, but Davante Adams wanted to reunite with his college teammate, Derek Carr, and he has a home in Las Vegas, so he kind of wanted to have a homecoming. This, first of all, I give a ton of credit to every team in the NFC West. All 4 of these teams have done a lot in free agency, have done a lot in trades to get better. None of them have looked at the division and said, you know what, we're done. Oh, this team's got this player. We're screwed. No. I love the mindset of these 4 teams. Denver, Russell Wilson, like it. Randy Gregory. They made picks to make them better. Quarterback, you needed it. Another pass rusher, Vaughn's gone. Check. Good job, Broncos. Chargers, re-sign Mike Williams. J.C. Jackson, great player. We're going to go get Khalil Mack off the scrap heap from Chicago to pair with Joey Bosa to get our pass rush better. Kudos to the Raiders. Kansas City, they didn't have to do as much as the other teams. You could argue Kansas City has gotten worse, but they just signed Juju Smith-Schuster, who should be a good add for this team. They needed another receiver, so he's going to Kansas City. Tyrann Mathieu still available. Maybe they can circle back on him. But they still have Mahomes, still have Kelsey, Tyreek. I mean, they're still the Kansas City Chiefs. And then there's Las Vegas. First point of attack. Re-sign Max Crosby. Love it. If you listen to the podcast, I love Mad Max. He's got a great story. He's recovered from alcoholism. He's one of my tat brothers. You know, we share that in common, and he's just an awesome story. Seems like a great guy. So you re-sign Max. So you say, okay, well, all these other teams, Chris Jones, Frank Clark, Khalil Mack, and Joey Bosa, Bradley Chubb, and Randy Gregory. We need somebody else so we have a two-headed monster, just like every team in this division. So Vegas says, you know what? Chandler Jones is available. Arizona didn't franchise tag him. Let's go sign Chandler Jones. Okay. What we've learned about the NFL for the last couple of years. If you have a stud pass rusher, Aaron Donald, Khalil Mack in his time, even Trey Hendrickson, you have a guy that's going to get double, triple teamed. Well, that's going to be tough to win. How about you go get a guy that's not quite as good, but just about, and you pair him on the other side of the line so they can't double, they can't triple him. So then it's a lot of matchups that are more favorable to you. What's going to happen? You're going to get sacks. You're going to attack the quarterback, and you're going to make your opponent's life hell. That's what all these 4 teams have done. Chandler Jones and Mad Max Crosby, good luck. But then Vegas says, you know what? All we've heard about Derek Carr is Derek Carr is the worst quarterback in this division. This team's not going to win. Well, they already had Hunter Renfrow, who might be the best slot wide receiver in football. We got Darren Waller, who's one of the best tight ends. Let's go get Davante bleepin' Adams. Davante Adams to Vegas last night. And they give him the most guaranteed money for a wide receiver ever. He's going to make $28.25 million a season. But I love it. Again, I think the worst thing you can do is look and say, oh, we'll never match up to that team. Go get better. Go get better. And Davante Adams and Derek Carr have played together. They have a relationship. He said they're like brothers, Derek Carr. And now Vegas can say, you know what? We can win just as much as these other teams. Josh McDaniels, he's still an unknown head coach. It's his first year there. New GM and Dave Ziegler from New England. But this is so anti-New England, which is half the reason I love it as well. New England is, let's take this guy off the scrap heap. Let's not take Chandler Jones. Let's not take Davante Adams. But they did it. And to me, that division is it was fascinating before just because Russell Wilson there. Now it's who really is the best team. That's going to be a job of mine this offseason, is really to look through these rosters and say, who's the best team? Because is there another move to come in this division? I mean, does Tyrann Mathieu go back to the Chiefs? He's still a free agent. He's the best safety on the market. This was when free agency started. He's still free. Did Chiefs find enough money to bring him back? Did he not have as good a market as he originally thought? Maybe. I don't know. But kudos to the Raiders, but Aaron Rodgers. I don't think Davante Adams wanted to leave Aaron Rodgers. I'm not going to go that angle. Even though I think Aaron Rodgers is a pain in the ass, even though I think Aaron Rodgers thinks he's a hell of a lot smarter than you, me, and Dupree, I don't think this was, okay, I'm so sick of this prima donna asshole. I want to get out of here. I don't think it helps that Aaron Rodgers is a prima donna asshole, but I don't think that was the real reason Davante Adams wanted to leave. He's got a house in Vegas, best buddies with Derek Carr. But Aaron Rodgers doesn't take bad news well. We saw when they drafted Jordan Love. He was sipping his tequila. He wasn't real happy that the Packers didn't tell him that they were going to draft a quarterback. He's held that grudge for 2.5 years now? So imagine he's sitting home last night and he learns Davante Adams is going to Vegas. Wait, the one receiver I'm comfortable throwing to is gone. And Marquez Valdes-Scantling's a free agent, so he's not back. So we have right now on our depth chart, we have Allen Lazard as my number one receiver. That's who we have. And at tight end, we have Robert Tonyan coming off a ACL tear, and Mercedes Lewis, the 38-year-old veteran tight end. This contract's a lot. I don't know if it's going to work out long-term, but I know Davante Adams can play right now. And that's why I named this episode Everything Okay, Aaron, because I don't think he took it well last night, just because I think I know him a little bit. It's hard to psychoanalyze. I don't do it as much as Mike Greenberg on the mothership. But to me, Green Bay must have a plan of attack. And my question is, who do they go trade for? I think this has to be in the mix. I do think Green Bay is up against a wall right now where they must draft a wide receiver in the first round. This is a wide receiver heavy draft. If they need to trade up to acquire one, do it. You just gave this guy $150 million guaranteed. Try to win a Super Bowl. Get him some receivers. Garrett Wilson, Chris Olave, Treylon Burks. There's some good damn receivers. Drake London. There's some good receivers in this draft. So I think, first of all, you got to draft a receiver in the first round if you're Green Bay, or Aaron Rodgers is going to blow up the city, Joker style. 2, I would be calling Seattle, and I would say, is DK Metcalf available? Is Tyler Lockett available? Because I think both those guys have played with Russell Wilson. They're really good receivers. They've made Pro Bowls. And if I'm Aaron Rodgers, I want to see if I can click with these two guys. They need to do whatever they can to win a Super Bowl. They are not going to win one with their current receiving core. I think Metcalf and Rodgers would be a lot of fun. I'd like to see that connection. DK is such a fiery competitor. I don't know if they'd work mentally. Fun content, though. But I still think there's a move at receiver that Green Bay is going to have to make. And Seattle, I mean, if they want Baker, maybe they'll want to keep him. I think the draft, but I do think there's a veteran receiver out there. Maybe it's Odell Beckham Jr. Maybe that's the move. I don't know if he'll be ready for the start of the season. Unlikely. He might even miss a couple months. But if they could get him for cheap, maybe that's the play. They could get him for cheap. He comes in. He joins the team midseason. Maybe him and Aaron get some connection. Maybe they trade for Robert Woods. Because the Los Angeles Rams last night signed Allen Robinson II. I love that move. I think this is finally Allen Robinson is going to be able to play with a good quarterback. There's Nick Foles and Blake Bortles and Andy Dalton and a rookie Justin Fields. I mean, he finally gets to play with Stafford. I don't know why, unless it's for salary cap reasons. If I'm the Rams, I'm not trading Robert Woods. I want Robinson. I want Kupp. Van Jefferson, I don't trust him a whole bunch. I guess they look at him as the better option to save some money, to potentially bring back a Odell Beckham Jr. Unless that's the move. But again, that's the one thing I think Green Bay, I think they need to do something. They need to acquire a veteran. They need to do something to improve. They need to do something to appease Aaron Rodgers. But it's also, you invested in him, you need to have your best team available. So DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, Odell, potentially a Brandon Cooks in Houston. He's the guy I think that could work. And of course, they're going to have 2 first-round picks. One of them has to be on a wide receiver. And if you need to package them to go get one that you really like and you think Aaron's going to connect with, that's the play. To me, that's the easy play. Again, the NFL, it's the gift that keeps on giving. And this is why, first of all, the product's king because it's the best sport. I love hockey. It's not even close. But also off-season storylines, all the news. I mean, it's always coming in. It's always something. Tonight we could see another story. I think Julio Jones is going to go to Tampa Bay at some point to join Tom Brady. I heard them talk about it Undisputed today, that Brady made a call to Julio and said, come down to Tampa. Julio's been battered, but I think him and Brady, that would be interesting. Maybe Green Bay gets in on Julio. They get him for really cheap. That's something I could see as well. He's another receiver that comes to mind. But yeah, I mean, Casey's going to join us, and we're going to talk some hockey too on the show today. But now, really, the next dominoes are, like I said, Baker Mayfield and Matt Ryan. Because if I'm Atlanta, if I could get rid of Matt Ryan, I still do it because they're not going to win. And Cleveland's got Desean. I mean, if I'm the Colts, I think Matt Ryan can at least get me into the playoffs. I think you got a chance to win that division with Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan's as good as Ryan Tannehill. He has a big cap hit, but again, he's got a good team. He's finally, he hasn't had a great running back since Devontae Freeman. And when he got battered, they haven't addressed the running game since. And in Atlanta this year, you got Kyle Pitts, a great tight end, but Russell Gage left for Tampa Bay. Julio's gone. Calvin Ridley suspended for the season for gambling. Zacchaeus left. He doesn't have any receivers. So if I'm Atlanta, I say I trade him before the draft. At least I would try to trade him before you have to pay him that roster bonus. But you trade him to the Colts. The Colts give you some draft capital. That's obviously something that can help you get a first-round pick. They'd have their option. Maybe they can go look at Malik Willis. Maybe they can draft Kenny Pickett. Who knows? Or they could keep it for next season. But I think Matt Ryan will be on the move this offseason. So say he goes to the Colts, Baker to Seattle. I just don't see another team that's really needs a quarterback. Houston didn't take him in the trade. So that tells you what they think of Baker Mayfield. And that means that he's not in their long-term plans. But yeah, there's tons of moves here. Brandon Hagel got traded today in the NHL. He got moved to the Tampa Bay Lightning. I'll talk about that with Casey in a second. There's March Madness going on as we speak. Ben Sherratt was traded. Von Miller signs a big deal with the Buffalo Bills, 6 years, $120 million. I don't mind this from the Bills. I think Vaughn can still play. He's 33. I mean, 6 years. I don't think there's a chance in hell he lasts 6 years in Buffalo. But clearly they think they can help them now. Buffalo's in a similar situation as a Green Bay, as I'd say Cleveland's a little different because I think they're seeing it more down the line. But Buffalo sees Josh Allen. They look at Kansas City, Cincinnati, and they're saying we can win a Super Bowl this upcoming season. I think that's the only – from now on, teams like Kansas City, Buffalo, Tampa Bay, Green Bay, the Rams, it's win a Super Bowl or the season was disappointment. Just period. Cincinnati, they were a surprise to get to the Super Bowl last year. I said from the beginning, I think I like their odds better of missing the playoffs than making them next season. But they got better at the offensive line. They've improved at certain areas. But for these teams like Buffalo, you look and say, all these teams got really good pass rushers. Jerry Hughes is good. Ed Oliver is good. But can we get a big threat? Yeah, we can go sign Von Miller. And they did it. So kudos to them. And they also signed O.J. Howard, who was with Tampa, who was really being not used in the passing game. $3.5 million, so a cheap deal. They can hope that he can turn into something he can play alongside Dawson Knox, who really has emerged as a top-tier tight end in the NHL. Chris Bryant got a ton of money in Major League Baseball, but I mean, it's a quarterback carousel, but it's also just pieces. It's about team building. And a lot of these GMs, I think you need a quarterback clearly. But again, left tackle is paramount, and you need 2 elite pass rushers. That's what we've seen the last couple of years with teams that are winning. That's what they have. So you look, well, Green Bay's got Bakhtiari at left tackle. Brady's got Tristan Wirfs. And you go from there. For the Rams, Andrew Whitworth just retired after 16 seasons in the NFL. He was 40 years old, but he was playing still at a high level. That's something needed to address. They re-signed Brian Allen, their center, Joel Notaboom, the right guard. Maybe they move a guy over to left tackle, but they want to keep a lot of their offensive line intact. You could argue their most important piece of that offensive line is now gone. They don't have a ton of money. Terron Armstead, he's one of the biggest free agents still available. He's a left tackle. I think he's going to want a lot of money. I think he was waiting around to see what happened in free agency with the Saints. I think he'd like to go back there. I just don't know if they can afford him. Maybe they can now that he's free, now that they have money. But we'll see. We'll see what happens there. But yeah, Jake Trotter, reporter for the Mothership, most guaranteed money on a single contract in NFL history. Deshaun Watson, $230 million. Aaron Rodgers, $150.7. Josh Allen, $150. Patrick Mahomes, $141.5. So Deshaun Watson has $80 million more in guaranteed money than the next closest quarterback. And Aaron Rodgers got that contract yesterday. So it took a day to break the record. Wow. But so for the Rams, I think Terron Armstead, where does he go? He's still another big one for me. Where does he end up? Where does he go to? But I said Tyrann Mathieu still available. Is Terron Armstead still a free agent? So there's still a lot of NFL dominoes to fall. But as we wait for Casey to join us, I'm going to touch on a deal this afternoon in the NHL, and that would be the Tampa Bay Lightning acquiring Brandon Hagel from the Chicago Blackhawks for a pair of first-round picks, Taylor Raddysh and Boris Tkachuk. Now, this seems like a lot on face value. 2 first-rounders, yep. Boris Tkachuk looks like a decent bottom 6 forward. Taylor Raddysh, same thing, high draft pick. First round, I think 16th overall back in the day. But Tampa has the mindset of the Los Angeles Rams. Fuck the picks. That was on the shirt of the Rams owner Les Snead at their parade. Fuck the picks. Because draft picks, people only care about draft capital in trades when you lose. But when you win a championship, people don't care about draft capital. People don't care what you gave up. They don't care about that first round pick that turned into whoever, because you got a ring. You got hardware to showcase it. But I see he's on the line. We're going to bring him in here. I don't know if he knows the big news yet, but if not, we'll break it to him here. But joining for the first time in the new pad is friend of the podcast, great friend, and champion supporter, I guess, and brand ambassador. Casey, good to see you, man.
Hey, Jug, what's going on, man? Happy to jump on.
We can't hear you.
Oh, fuck.
Wait for him to connect his mic here. Hopefully it's not like the other day with Brad Malone, because that was not a fun experience.
Got me? Nothing?
No, we can't. This is like a deja vu for me. Hopefully we can get him in here. But I'll work on my end, but we'll talk briefly before we get to the big news of the day about, like I was saying, people don't care about what you get in picks, what you get in trades, the draft picks you give up if you win. And for Tampa Bay, Brandon Hagel, unknown player probably for most. I like him personally. He's got a lot of bite. He's got some grit. And I think he'll be to Tampa Bay what Blake Coleman and Barkley Goodrow was, quite frankly. I think he is going to play the third line. He's going to score big goals if they need him to. He'll kill penalties. He's a pain in the ass. So that he adds another pain in the ass. You can believe it, the Tampa Bay Lightning. Corey Perry, Maroon. This team is just building for the playoffs. They're getting rid of picks because they don't need them, quite frankly. If they're aiming to go 3 for 3, they could give a crap about draft. Steven Stamkos said this today. He said, we don't really care about draft picks because we're not going to be here to spend them.
You got me now? Nothing still?
This could be a scenario like the other day with Brad. Maybe it's just a reset, but I hope not. I mean, it worked. It works with Seamus, so I'm kind of surprised what's happening. Let me make sure I'm not on mute. No, we're good there. Just gonna bring back Casey here, but
you got me now? I
can't see him. We can't. I have to reconsider this platform after the last couple of days. For Tampa Bay, I think they're well set up. They're doing the right things. I like the way they're handling this, quite frankly. It's win now. It's again, go for it. They're currently second in the Atlantic, a point up on Toronto. But you look at them. They got Stamkos, Kucherov, Point. They got the best goalie in the world. They don't need a first-round pick. They just don't. They don't need Boris Tkachuk, Taylor Radish. They needed a Brandon Hagel. Plus, he's under contract for another 2 years after this one. They got Blake Coleman and Barkley Goodrow with 2 years, with another year after the one they acquired him. So 2 years, 2 playoff runs with them. They won cups in both those years. They have Hagel for 2 more years after this season. So they got him a good value, and we're going to bring Casey back in here. We reset. Hopefully we can connect.
Hello.
Wow, I don't know what's going on. Oddly enough, I don't know why the other day. Seamus must have the voodoo doll and the rest of my guests here, because I can connect with him every Tuesday. Everybody else I can't hear. I'll tell Case, maybe restart your computer. We'll see if it goes from there. Might be me too, but we'll see. He's going to restart. We'll see if he can join us here. But again, in the NHL, I love, again, sometimes it's not about the splash. It's about the fit. Tampa needed a third liner. They lost Yanni Gourde. They lost Barclay Goodrow. They lost Blake Coleman. Brandon Hagel is going to fit in. They still have a really good roster, but Hagel's a really good player. I think he's going to be a great fit on this team. And again, I think it's I mentioned Josh Manson in Colorado. They needed size on that back end. They needed some grit. They needed some toughness. He's not a sexy name. He's not going to jump off the screen, but I think he fits their need. I think they got Gerard. They got Cale Makar. They have these really skilled players, but they needed some girth. They needed a guy to give you a cross check to really play a physical role, and they got that. So Hagel is gonna. I think he's going to score key goals. He'll kill penalties. I like the pickup from the Tampa Bay Lightning. I don't expect them to do much else at this trade deadline, but quite frankly, they don't need to. They still have Victor Hedman. They got McDonough, Sergachev, Vasilevsky. And for the rest of this regular season, to me, it doesn't matter if Tampa finishes third in the Atlantic because Toronto might go on a heater. You never know. I think Florida will win that division because I just think Florida is such an elite team. But for Tampa, if they finish third, I don't think they're worried about it. They started last year in the first round on the road. They had to play Florida. In the first round, they started on the road. They won that series in 5 games. If they have to go to Toronto, I don't think they're worried about it. They'll go to Toronto, and they'll play the team that they're meant to play. Maybe Boston can put a scare into one of these two teams, but I think there's a good chance it's going to be Tampa, Toronto in the first round. And I'm sure Tampa would prefer home ice, but I don't think it's something where it's desperate to them. But getting Hagel should help that. They're at home to the Rangers tomorrow night, so I don't know if he'll be in the lineup in time for that game. But again, a good pickup nonetheless. Claude Giroux is going to be a healthy scratch tonight for the Philadelphia Flyers. He had played his 1,000th game last night. He's obviously going to be moved before the deadline, but he's a healthy tonight. Nick Paul is a healthy scratch tonight for Ottawa. So you're seeing a lot of these healthy scratches start to come in where guys you think they might be moved. Even Owen Tippett was a healthy scratch in the American Hockey League last night for the Charlotte Checkers, the Florida Panthers affiliate. Because Florida is in on Claude Giroux, he may end up going there. Colorado is still in the mix. So that is a potential landing spot for him. So you're starting to see it's that time of year, right? Monday is the time of year for trades. It's all about that. And Monday, we're going to have a trade deadline special. So it's going to be an earlier show. We're going to start at 4:30, and we're going to go till about 7. First half of the show, mostly trade deadline. We'll talk some March Madness. Matt Wright is going to join me. See Casey's rejoined the stream here.
Does it work this time?
We're still – I might have to restart myself. Just 1 second here. I'm gonna exit the stream and start again here. Casey, I got you.
Hello.
Okay, I can hear you.
Yeah, you got me?
I got you. Yeah, I don't know. I must have to just restart because it's happened the other day with Brad, and my God, was that frustrating.
I was getting a laugh out of that.
Yeah, I wasn't laughing. But thankfully, Brad and yourself are patient men. But
Oh yeah.
good to see you. How are things? I know you got the new puppy, Lynx. How's everything going on the home front?
It's not too bad. We're adapting, I guess. We're going on be 3 weeks Saturday with the pooch, so we're still kind of getting the sleeping schedule all down and eating schedule and everything. So we're just adapting, but um, other than that, just I don't know, watching hockey or whatever's on the TV at night. Just trying to wind down and get the dog to sleep. But other than that, just chilling. How about you?
Good. Yeah, lots of content, lots of stuff to talk about. I'm not mid July and the MLB All Star break looking for a headline. That's for sure. Uh, but have you heard the big news of the day surrounding your
Yeah, I
team?
was listening to just when you were talking about it there when it started when you were talking about the Browns, but I it was a shocker to me. I was surprised because everybody's a liar nowadays. It's
Yeah, no kidding.
jeez.
But
But
what are your thoughts? I mean, are you excited with this? Are you apprehensive? What are your initial thoughts now that Deshaun Watson is going to be a Cleveland Brown?
I'm not too sure how I feel about it really. Either way, I think it's going to be not bad because Mari Cooper just came to the squad too, so got some new faces on the team. Jarvis Landry left, so did Hooper, so free up a little bit of cash. Yeah, I don't know. I'm excited to see if there's going to be a difference from the Baker era to the Watson era. I guess I wonder where Baker's going to end up, and hopefully he doesn't go on to greener pastures like OBJ.
Yeah. Yeah, the whole Baker saga is so interesting. But I mean, the fact I pointed this out earlier, but the fact that last week he was cleared of criminal charges, a week later he's getting the most guaranteed money in the history of the NFL has to be the most NFL story of all time because it's just how it works. I mean, pro sports in general, but really the NFL. You could be accused of shooting somebody yesterday and sign to a big contract. I mean, it's crazy, but that's just how the sport works.
Yeah, and like I feel like it all is coming in the pipeline at the same time, like with March Madness and the trade
Mhm.
deadline and all the free agent signings and trades going on in the NFL. I don't know how you manage it all. Like I can hardly just focus on the NHL at night. So, like to be able to stay up to date on it all and everything is just insane. Like I had no inclination of the Baker drama or the Baker feud in Cleveland until I think I texted you. I think 2 days ago or the other day.
Mm,
So,
yeah.
um, yeah, like I'm nervous to see what it's going to be like for Deshaun, but um, yeah, like you said, most NFL thing to do is just guy gets his charges wiped and then sign him to a big ticket.
Right. What do you feel for Baker in this story with him saying goodbye to Cleveland and all this? Are you kind of like good riddance, see you later? What's your feeling as a Browns fan on the whole Baker Mayfield era in Cleveland?
Um, well, considering I started watching football when he was drafted, like that was my first year watching.
Mhm.
So I've only known Baker Mayfield as the Browns quarterback. So I don't know. I feel sorry for him in a way, but at the same time, like you were talking to somebody yesterday. I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but they were talking about how like he might have had torn labrum and sore feet and all this COVID, whatever, but like you can still see where you're throwing the ball and like to see the OBJ thing with overthrows and underthrows and that little montage tape there that OBJ Senior put out.
Right.
I don't know. I think it's all funny stuff, but I don't know. I'm interested to see where he ends up.
Yeah, I don't know where it's going to be, but it should be fascinating. That's for sure. I think the Colts are a real destination. They need a quarter. I think Seattle is a team, potentially Atlanta. So he's going to get his wish after last night saying, no, we're not trading you. Now we know he's going to get traded. It's just a matter of where. And Cleveland trades 3 first-round picks, a second-rounder, and a third-rounder for Desean. So five draft picks going back to Houston. But I do find it quite funny that Houston has Davis Mills, who is likely not going to be their quarterback of the future, and they have a former first overall pick that they could potentially acquire in a trade. And they're like, yeah, no thanks. We're good. No, we'll stick with him. No, we're okay.
Oh man, you can't make it up, and like it has to sting for Baker, right? Like,
got to.
Just to talk about a shitty couple of months for him. Like, you know, he's got to watch OBJ limp around on the Super Bowl evening, I guess, and like he still scored a touchdown, so you can't take it away from him. But like, you know, it would be so frustrating for Baker to watch that happen, and then to look back on the season that he had, and nobody wants him coming off his last year of his contract. So I don't know. It's I guess I wouldn't be shaking in my boots if I was him, because he's making commercial after commercial. So, you know, if you're living like that, it's not too big of a deal. But
you might have to worry though, because Progressive's based in Cleveland, so I don't know if he's going to be allowed to do those commercials anymore. But yeah,
LeBron will PJ him down or something.
Yeah, LeBron, the new Browns fan, even though he's roots to the Cowboys, welcoming Deshaun Watson, but hypocrite. Well, I mean, you said there's all kinds of news, and we'll touch on Davante Adams in a second, but baseball, lots of news as well. I mean, poor baseball, poor hockey. Their trades, their signings are just so overshadowed because the NFL is king. But over the last couple of days in baseball, what was if you had to pinpoint one, what was the biggest move, and what do you think was the most impactful move for any team?
Well, I haven't really been paying too much attention to it, like with the lockout and everything, but kind of been diving back into it with everything going on. With the Freddie Freeman trade he went to LA, I'm pretty sure, right?
Yeah.
Dodgers. So that's a big pickup. I mean, LA is already stacked as it is. So, Seamus is just laughing because his summer team is gonna be going the long run.
He's not even really a Dodgers fan though. Like
he's a poser, right?
Yeah, he's a poser.
Yeah, I mean,
I think he liked the jersey color or something. Maybe because he's a Leaf fan, he needed a team that won something. I don't know.
Blue and white, yeah. I get him. I get where he's coming from. But yeah, I like the moves that the Blue Jays are making. I think that Chapman's a good pickup there. I'd like to see how they're gonna. I was nervous to see what they were gonna do with. Because they were talking to having Freeman come in. So I was like, is Vladdy going to be DH 24/7? Or are they going to split the time? But going for Chapman, I guess that just takes all the questions out of the equation. So for Vladdy, I think he's down weight too, and they're just him and Bichette are ripping swings going into spring training. So I think they're going to be probably the favorites in the AL East besides Tampa. So my Yanks are probably going to be a struggle piece all year, and it'll be frustrating to say the least, probably. So
yeah, I think Freeman would have been great, but I think Chapman was the better move because they had such a hole at third base. Yeah. Espinal is a good utility player, but you don't want him playing there every day. And then you can put, I think, perfect world, Teoscar Hernandez is your everyday DH because he's not a reliable outfielder. But yeah, do you think the Blue Jays are the favorites in the American League East right now, or do you still have your Yankees? Right, who do you think is the best team?
I would say, I don't want to say it, but I would say that the Blue Jays, I would say, are probably my favorite just off of that couple of trades. For me with the Yankees, it's a broken record. Like, I hate Chapman in the bullpen. Apartment
is
4.
Is he the athlete you hate the most?
He's probably top 3 for sure.
What's your list? Top 3.
Off top of my head, probably.
Yeah, top of your head.
Probably Chapman, Patrick Reed, and I don't know the third one. I can't think of any other scumbags. But
DeChambeau?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe a tie for 2 there. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just can't stand Chapman. Like he's got the 106-mile-an-hour fastball, but then he's got the Altuve hanging slider, 70 miles an hour. Just it brings back horror and memories and nightmares of Freddie.
My old apartment. I think we watched that game together.
Yeah, and then my Betway app just started dinging. Uh-oh. But it is what it is. I'm excited to see what the Yankees got in store for the year. Sanchez and Urshela going to the Twins.
Mm-hmm.
I was not really too sad to see Sanchez go. I find he kind of struggled behind the plate myself, but
Yeah.
I did like Urshela. I thought he was kind of a good piece, especially in playoffs. I feel like he kind of came in clutch when he needed to, and I remember he had a really good series against the Astros. One of those last years that they were in the ALCS. So I'm excited to see Donaldson, how he makes out coming into New York, fresh shave. I don't know. It's exciting, I guess, but they're definitely not the fountain of youth in New York for sure.
Yeah, and I like their team. But I hate having too many power hitters, and
Yeah.
I think the Blue Jays are part of the problem here too. But Vladdy is so good because he hits for average, but Judge and Stanton, it's like, okay, we're hitting it 450 feet, or it's going in the glove of the catcher,
Yeah.
And Rizzo's been the same way the last couple of years, because I'd rather have Rizzo than obviously Luke Voigt, who they dealt to San Diego today. But I mean, Freeman would have been a good ad, but Rizzo, I mean, and even now Judge, I mean, there's some question marks. I don't know if you saw this presser the other day, but Aaron Judge was asked if he was vaccinated. And because you need to be vaccinated to play in New York, just ask Kyrie Irving. And obviously you need to play in Canada. And basically he gave the Aaron Rodgers, I'm immunized answer. And it sure doesn't sound like he is. And I think even Aaron Boone said a number of our players aren't yet. So that, I mean, if you can't play at your home building or play in Toronto, I mean, it's going to be tough to do any damage this season.
Yeah, no, I didn't know about those pressers. I didn't. I seen that they were looking at his contract extensions kind of starting, but that's all the press I guess I've seen around him. But yeah, I think that I don't know. It's such a touchy subject with so many people. The world going back to what it is, and yeah, I don't know. I think it's just crazy not being able to play. They're around each other all the damn time anyways, so like what's the big deal? But I mean, I think like guys like Rizzo or any of these guys that aren't vaccinated or don't want to tell the public or whatever, I mean, it's just going to hurt the teams when it comes down to the long run, right? Like
right,
if they can't play in 80 games because they can't play at home or they can't play in Toronto, then you might as well just not even play the year, right? Like that's my kind of take on it anyways. Like if you're not going to go to all the games, why not go at all? Or
Yeah, I hear you there. Yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting because I think there's some really good teams and there's a lot of baseballs like that. I mean, expanded playoffs. Seattle, I think, will be good. They've gotten some really good players the last couple of years. The AL East, I mean, I think the Jays will be competitive, Yankees competitive, Red Sox, Rays. Obviously, the Dodgers, the Giants. I mean, I tweeted this out the other day. Now that Tatis is out, if you didn't watch baseball before, you shouldn't start now because he's such a star. He's probably one of my favorite athletes, and it just killed me when I saw he was out 3 months because he's so fun, and I think the sport of baseball is hurting that he's not going to be opening day out there ready to play.
Yeah, like it's definitely gonna hurt the league for sure. Like he's one of those stars. Like last year, he was electric. Bat flips left, right, and center. He was making the unreal snagging plays, or the I think there was one he must have jumped 5 feet off the ground to get a fly ball. But I just it definitely does suck for the league because I think that San Diego in that division actually made it interesting last year with San Francisco and LA. So it'd be nice to see him come back and have no repercussions of his injury or anything. Like, I'd like to see them go on a run this year, and they just picked up Luke Voigt today too from the Yanks. So I don't know who was the return piece, or was it draft picks or
just draft picks?
Draft picks. Yes, sir. I mean, I was kind of hoping that Luke Voigt might maybe draw, an arm or two, maybe in the bullpen or closer or something. Like, I don't know. I just want that security in the bullpen for myself. Like, I've realized that like the last couple of World Series, the pitching is just it's make or break. That's what wins you the World Series, right? So.
Yeah, because I look and obviously you love Garrett Cole, hopefully. Montgomery.
Questionable after last year.
Yeah, Montgomery's a solid pitcher, but you got like Germán, Severino, like a lot. I don't trust a lot of their starting pitching because they're either hurt or there's a lot of inconsistency there. And the back end of their bullpen, I'm glad they brought back Zach Britton. I think he's a stud, but I know Chapman will always never be a trusted ally for you, but I would put edge for Rays and Blue Jays over the overall pitching of the Yankees.
Yeah, no, I kind of follow you similarly. I think that the Yanks got to up their arms, and I think that if they can do that, then I think they might be able to turn things around and overthrow the the Jays and the Rays. But it'll be interesting. I'll be watching. I'll be in Seamus's donation league there this year that he runs and rigs every year. So I'll be in that supporting the cause. So.
Oh, did he win it last year?
You know what? I lost so bad I didn't even stay to figure out who won. I just know that my money didn't end up in my pocket. So he did have a good run though. He was winning back-to-back weeks every week, so it doesn't surprise me if he did win.
Yeah, well, I guess you got to get back at him this year. Or maybe just don't draft Yankees. Maybe that's the key.
Yeah, that's my problem. I think I drafted 8 of them. So
yeah,
they all got hurt too. So
right.
Can't get any worse.
I thought this deal was crazy, and kudos to him and Scott Boras for getting this money. But Chris Bryant, 7 years, 182 in Colorado. He's a good player, but that's $26 million a season. That's a lot of money for Chris Bryant. There's no way I would have given him this contract.
Yeah, like I don't know if they're paying him because he's won in the past or what. Because like it just doesn't seem right. Like he's a good baseball player. Don't get me wrong, but like I just don't feel like his game is where it was with the Cubs a couple years ago, right? So like I just feel like it's kind of paid for previous performances, but I don't know. Like they could see him as having a skyrocket season this year and could prove me wrong. So
yeah, it's just hard sell when you say, okay, we had Nolan Arenado and we were cheap as hell then, or we sucked so bad he wanted to leave. No, let's give a whole bunch of money to Chris Bryant. Okay. Yeah. I don't think a lot of people in the Sunshine State are like, yes, I can't wait.
Yeah.
We could have Nolan Arenado.
Yeah. No, I think that, I think that just mayhem, I guess, in the MLB to sum it up. Like, just, I can't believe it.
Your Montreal Canadiens dealt Ben Sherratt the other night to Florida. I thought they got a good return for him. 2023 first, 2022 fourth, and Tyler Similak, left wing at Quinnipiac College. But I like it for both teams. Montreal gets a good return, and Florida gets a defenseman that's going to be, I think, very valuable for them chasing the Stanley Cup. Yeah.
I think that Sherratt's a big piece for them adding to their decor. I think that he was vital in Montreal's run last year on the back end. So, that's a huge win for Florida. And I think the picks coming back to Montreal is just awesome for the future. Was the pick from Florida to Montreal Florida's first?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I was seeing that The Flyers want first coming back for Giroux, like no matter what. And
Yeah.
do you think like that he's like he is supposed to go to Florida or Colorado? I suppose like those are the
Yeah.
two destinations, I guess, at this point. So, like, do you think that they settle without a first round pick in this year's draft or next year's draft? Or
Well, what they did was it was a 2023 first, so they still have the first this year.
oh,
So
okay,
they could still use that. I think that's what they kind of did with Montreal. They said, "We'll give you a first, but it has to be next year."
okay,
And I'm not sure. I'm not sure if another team is willing to part with a first for Sherratt. I'm guessing,
yeah.
but so that they still have their pick this year, so they could still give that to Giroux. But looking at the two teams, who do you think needs Giroux more, Florida or Colorado?
Well, myself, I think for Florida, he is a good piece to bring in. I think for them, I think that kind of just solidifies that like they're all in.
Mm-hmm.
Um, like yeah, I just think that he would kind of finish off their top, their forwards, I guess, to say the least. Like it doesn't matter where you put him in, he's going to be effective. So um, I think he's good there. But for a team like Colorado, I think it's just kind of he's like that added. Turkey dinner when you have a little like when you're just finishing your plate and you're just adding a little extra gravy just to
Right.
make your meal that much better.
Right.
I think that's kind of what Giroux would be in Colorado. Like
Mm-hmm.
they have all the pieces. I think, especially after they picked up Manson and Sturm. I think from
Yeah. For Colorado,
Minnesota.
from Minnesota. Yeah.
Yeah. So like just with the Manson trade alone, I think that right there kind of tells you that Colorado's not messing around. They mean business this playoffs. So yeah, like I think he's just that added piece of like that added gravy on top, I guess, for Colorado. But like I was reading that Colorado offered Justin Barron and a first rounder. I don't know what year, but and the Flyers said no. Like I don't know that I don't know if it's true or not or whatever. But Justin
Wow.
Barron I think would be a
Mm-hmm.
stud piece coming back, and that's just me. But I don't know. What do you think on that?
Yeah, I think they won a lot, and I said this the other day, but I wouldn't give the world for Claude Giroux because I don't think he's. I think Colorado is going to win or lose a cup, and it's not going to be because of Claude Giroux. Quite frankly, I see the same thing with Florida. I say if Philly calls and they say, "Hey, Colorado, yeah, we'll give you Giroux, but we want." You said they offered Barron and a first, which I still think is a lot because I think Barron's going to be a good prospect, and Philly could use a defenseman, quite frankly. But no. Well, if they want to say, okay, we'll do it, but we want Newhook. I'm not trading Newhook in the deal. If I'm Colorado, there's no chance. I'll say, you know what? We're going to win without Claude Giroux. But Newhook's not getting dealt because you're going to lose Kadri. You got to pay McKinnon. You need guys on short-tier deals, and I think Newhook could be the Cirelli of Colorado. I think he could be an easy second-line center. He's already a really good player, but he's not going in the deal for closure. He would be a guy that I'm not willing to part with.
Yeah, no, that's a good comparable for Newhook. I think that's pretty accurate. Like I wouldn't piece with Newhook. I think he's just that kind of top tier forward that's going to be, top 6, top 9 guy for sure in the NHL for many years to come. So it just doesn't make sense giving a guy like that to Philly for Claude Giroux that might play the rest of this year and whatever.
He's not going to re-sign because you're not going to be able to afford him.
Yeah, exactly. So like, I would take the years ahead with Newhook over the months ahead with Giroux.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe there's another team that sneaks in there, but like I think it's one of those two teams, and I think it's whoever wants him more because I think Florida, their Owen Tippett was a healthy scratch last night in the American League. I think he's going to be a part of the deal. He's a good player too.
Yeah.
But I think it's just who's willing to part with more. Now that I think Calgary's out of the running now because they got Toffoli. They got Kelly Yarncroke, which I think is a sneaky good deal from Seattle. He plays hard. He's played with some of the guys there. I think if anything for Calgary, if they do have anything left in the tank, it's try to acquire another defenseman for depth.
Yeah. Do you think that they go after their old flame Geo? Do you think they look at that or?
Yeah, I think it's definitely something that they should consider. Depending, just it's the asking price. I think that's the thing. But if I'm Brad Treliving, I'm all in because if they flame out early, I don't think he's back next year. Quite frankly, they've had a great year, but he's been there a long time. But I've read that he wants to go to a Canadian team. I think Toronto or Calgary is going to fit that description. If I'm Toronto, I mean, that's a good piece because he's better than Dermott, he's better than Liljegren, and quite frankly, he's better than Sandin, and he's better than Hall too. So anybody they could add on that bottom, with Muzzin out, he'd be their fourth best defenseman right now, third or fourth. He would be an addition to help their team.
Yeah, no, if I would hate to see Giordano play in the Leafs jersey, but it would be good for them to have that kind of depth piece on the back end. I know Toronto typically hasn't had that. So for him, I think it would be a big move. Like you said, he wants to play in Canada. Ideally, I think it's just he wants to end up back in Calgary, but it is a business, and whatever the best outcome is for Seattle, that's what they're going to take. But I kind of just see, like you were talking about Treliving, I think this is his last kick at the can. Like I think that the way that their division is, if they flame out, like that's got to be like addressed because like they're the clear like runaway favorites in the Pacific, right? So
yeah, for sure.
Like if you don't try and just capitalize on like what a year, like then it's kind of you got to get rid of them, right? So
yeah, and your Oilers have caught fire. They're right up. They're battling with LA, maybe to get the second spot in that division. Because they, and really it's less about Edmonton catching fire, but I mean Vegas is in trouble. I don't know if you saw today, Eichel likely not going to play tomorrow. Blocked a shot last night. They got 19 games left, and they're just hanging on to a playoff spot right now. Dallas has 4 games in hand. They're only a point back. Vancouver is only 3 back. So they're in deep trouble. They can't win to lose right now. And it's going to be some kind of shakeup if they miss the playoffs out there, because that is they're not going to do anything at this deadline, but I think there'll be just fireworks of grenades going off if they miss the playoffs.
Yeah, it'll be anarchy in Vegas probably for about 24 to 48 hours, I'd say. Just they've been in the playoffs ever since they come into the league. They went into the finals their first year. So it would be like a shock to not be in and not be part of the playoffs and all that. But I don't know, like just the way that they kind of slide, like Eichel not being in the lineup tomorrow night. Stone's still out with a back injury.
Riley Smith is hurt.
Yeah, Riley Smith's still out. I seen something about Robin Leonard. There's rumors that I don't know, like if it's true or not that he fractured his kneecap or like, I would be hitting the panic button a little if I was in Vegas, but that's just me. Like you get rid of Flower and it seems like nothing but I don't know if he put a hex on them or anything, but like it seems like they've had nothing but injury troubles since he's left. So
yeah, I don't know, because the more I watch, Nashville's going to get in, because I think Nashville's a sneaky good team. I've watched them a lot lately. That they're going to I think they'll be a tough out. They're tied with Minnesota with points right now. Minnesota's got games in hand, but that should be interesting. Toronto. Obviously, I think you mentioned Giordano. Do you think they'll kick tires on maybe a Hampus Lindholm? Because today it's being reported that him and Anaheim couldn't come to terms on the deal, and it looks like they'll be going their separate ways.
Yeah, I don't know if Toronto will be able to to swoop in. To be honest, I never really heard any rumblings about Lindholm. Really, it would be an interesting piece, I think, though, for the Leafs if they were to pick up a defense like that. Like who would you put him in with for a partner with the Leafs?
Oh, Jesus. I would say, I like Brody and Riley as a pair. So you want Muzzin to come back. So he could play with Muzzin because they're very different. He's a puck-moving defenseman. Muzzin's more of the, Sherratt, grind-it type guy. But for Toronto, I don't think Flower's going to get moved. The more I don't think he's going to go to Toronto. So even if he does get moved, I think goaltending is very secondary for them. I think if they could get 2 defensemen somehow at this trade deadline, I think that's the way to go. I don't know if they'll be able to get, say, a Gio and a Hampus Lindholm. I'd prefer Lindholm, quite frankly, over Gio. Mm-hmm. But if they could get a Hampus Lindholm and maybe get a Justin Braun from a Philly, he's a guy that he's very just basic, by the book, and he's got size that might keep Toronto away from getting him because they don't like guys that are above 5'8". But if they could get maybe a Lindholm, and they have to give up more, obviously, for him, get Braun for a 3rd, 4th round pick late in the day on Monday, I think that's a good deadline because you could put Lindholm with Muzzin, Riley, Brody, Braun, Sandin, and that's your top 6.
Yeah, no, that makes more sense. Like with Lindholm going there than Giordano. That just it makes more sense. And Lindholm's got a little bit more youth on his side, so that does nothing but help the Leafs. So I don't know. What do you think they'd have to give up to get guys like those, like Giordano or Lindholm? Like,
I think for Lindholm, I think it's a lot, but I also think Anaheim's lost leverage because teams know that he's leaving. He's not re-signing, right? So they're under the gun to move him.
Yeah.
Right. So I don't think it'll be as much as before, but I do think it's a 1st-round pick because I think he's a good defenseman and it's a deadline move. So maybe it's a 1st, and honestly, if Toronto thinks they can win, which I think they should because they got their players, and whether I think they can beat Tampa or not, it's about what they think internally. I think they should go get Hampus Lindholm. If they have to trade Nick Robertson in the 1st to do it, I do it. Because if they go and beat Tampa and they win, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. And I don't really care saying this because I don't have no ties to either team, but personally, Robertson with the Leafs, he's not the better Robertson. So
no kidding.
You could part with him, and for guys like Sheamus, you just hate to see him leave. But if you're gonna get a guy like Lindholm back, who gives a shit? If you have a chance to beat Tampa Bay, I don't see it happening in the 7-game series, but that's just me. I think Tampa's built to go deep into the playoffs. I think that it's gonna, personally, I would like to see Tampa and Carolina in the conference finals. That's what I want to see, but that's neither here nor there. But I don't know. I think you kind of have to go all in if you're the Leafs. Like if you're not going to go for a goalie, and I don't blame Fleury for not wanting to leave Chicago to go to Toronto. Like I don't blame him if he doesn't want to go to Edmonton either. Like I wouldn't want to go to those places and deal with the media and everything, right? So it's just. When is Dubas going to say it's time to go all in and try and acquire some good D? But I don't know.
Yeah, Robertson's he's a prospect right now.
Yeah,
that's what he is. They're playing him in the NHL right now, which I still don't get because he's not an NHL player, right? He might be later, but he's not right now. And you mentioned, Jason Robertson, he's got 30 goals this year. He's on one of the best lines in hockey with Rupe Hintz and Joe Pavelski. That line, he's a really, really good player. Nick Robertson should be playing in the American Hockey. He should be getting – I don't know if they're playing him so that teams can get a look at him. I don't think that helps his case, quite frankly, as a trade asset because they play him with Tavares. How good has Tavares played lately? So But Lindholm would be my target. I think Klingberg, I don't think Dallas is going to trade him because they're battling for the playoffs. I think he's going to stay. If you could, I'll say this though, Case. If I could get Lindholm or if I could get Jacob Chikrin, I get Jacob Chikrin because you're going to have to give up more for him, a lot more probably. But I think he's a really good player, and you got him for 3 more years after this one. So that would be the play for me. If I had enough assets to get a Jacob Chikrin, that's the move I make on Monday.
Yeah, no, Chikrin's not a bad piece over in Arizona too. I always seem to kind of forget about the Devil Dogs out there in the desert, but like you wonder with guys like Phil Kessel there and like Jacob Chikrin, these guys are all pieces that can help teams go forward in the playoffs. Like Phil the Thrill, he is what he is. You know what you're going to get with them. So, who's to say like someone like New York Rangers or someone kind of just on the cusp of getting in there, like Washington or someone doesn't take a flyer on them to help their offense come in. But I don't know, like, I would also stick with you and say that I would go with Chikrin over a Lindholm just because Chikrin seems to have a better contract and everything, right? So
I think Washington will get somebody. I could see him going to Washington, Lindholm, because I think they're going to do something. I think Boston and Washington are 2 X factors come Monday because I think they're both desperate because they know their teams are older, and Washington right now I think is by far the worst team in the Eastern Conference. I mean, the teams are going to make the playoffs. It's obvious, but if they play Carolina, I don't like their chances of winning that series. I know where you stand on that. I don't even have to ask you, but I think they feel like they need to make a move. I feel Boston feels the same way. They still have Marchand. They still have Bergeron. You got number 88. Goaltending is up in the air, but I think they feel like, you know what, if we can make a splash play, we should do it because Bergeron's done after this year. His contract's over. Maybe he retires. Who knows? But I think both those teams are 2 X factors in the East because although they're wild card teams, I feel like they're desperate to make things happen.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like I was thinking, there was some speculation, I guess, that the Bruins were in on the Giroux talks and stuff, and I guess he kind of nipped that in the butt right away and kind of closed those doors. But I don't know, like it's all like media, right? It's all hearsay and whatever.
I'm sure for Giroux, he's probably saying if I'm going to get traded, I want to have the best chance to win. Now he probably doesn't believe Boston can win a cup.
Yeah, that's like totally makes sense to me too. Looking at the rosters in Boston, and I watched that game the other night, Boston and Minnesota. Yeah, with Kirill the Thrill, unreal. I thought it was a good game.
Yeah, that was a really good game. I wish they were both in the East or West so they could play in the playoffs, quite frankly. But I'm kind of hoping for Minnesota St. Louis because I think that'll be a barn burner of a series. I think those 2 teams don't like each other and they're both physical as hell. But
yeah.
Well, obviously, big trade deadline show here on To The Point Monday. We're going to talk about it all. But if you had to predict your Stanley Cup final as the rosters sit right now, who are your 2 picks?
Rosters sitting right now.
Yep.
It's hard not to go with the Hurricanes. I like them so much this year. They had a gaffe last night against the Leafs. I mean, it's bound to happen. You can't win every night, and it's probably hard for Freddie to be back in town. So, it is what it is there. But I think for me, I'd like to see the Lightning and the Hurricanes in the conference final. For me, I don't care who goes to the finals after that. I think if Tampa earns their way for a three-peat and Maroon has a chance at 4, then so be it. I'm on that storyline. Like I want to see it happen. I'm trying to talk it into reality. So
right
on the West Coast, it just seems like everybody and Daryl Sutter included says that Colorado is going to the finals no matter what. So if you're playing them, it's a waste of 8 days and just quit while you're ahead.
What a great line because he's he's
serious.
BSing. It's such bullshit because he's like,
Yeah.
I better we'll mull them over. He's probably saying to his team, right? Like, oh yeah. I love Daryl Sutter press conferences.
Yeah, and they're all laughing in the background too, like, and he's just standing there, kind of chewing his tongue, and he's ready to just go out there and show them that the Flames are all that in business. So I don't know. I think it's all going to be good entertainment come the playoffs. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like the Tampa pickup of Hagel today. I think he's a really good player. He's going to be a third line guy. I like that for their team. I like that Colorado got Manson. I think it's going to be when you look back at it, I think it's going to be a really good move at the deadline because sometimes it's not about the splash, it's about the fit. Yeah. Like Hagel's a really good fit. I think Manson's a really good fit because their defense last year in the playoffs really got mulled over by Vegas. Girard had a tough postseason. If we meet, I'm sure he's going to sock me in the face because I've said it so many times. But you got Girard, Makar, they're all skilled, but they're not, physically strong guy. I think Manson's a good guy to fit in there.
Yeah.
But no, like you said, it should be a lot of fun. I know you hate basketball, but have you been tracking March Madness? Did you fill out a bracket? Any interest?
No, I never filled out a bracket. The funny thing is I've been listening to some podcasts and they've been following it. The podcasts themselves are basketball fans. I kind of just tune it out and listen to the background stuff more. Not really, I did see today though that out of however many brackets there are, after the first round, there's only like under 200 left. So like, I think that's pretty awesome. Like, just the upsets and everything is what everybody pays to see. And I think, the Kentucky one last night was pretty bad. Like I said, I wasn't really following it. It was on the telly.
Sounds like you're kind of following it.
No, it was on the telly, and we were listening to it on the background, trying to get links to learn to sit down and chase his toys and everything, right? So, I don't know. I'll probably be tuning in as the games get a little more heated and a little closer to the finals and stuff. But like, I took in my first March Madness. I think what was it, last year or the year before at your
yeah, you watched it with me for about 6 hours.
Yeah, so I put in a good shift that day, so I could probably get another 6 years out of not watching basketball. So
yeah, it's unfortunate, sad to hear, but this weekend you talk about a shift. I probably will watch. I'm gonna go home after this podcast, watch it till about 1:30, 2 o'clock tonight. Watch it for about 12, 13 hours tomorrow, and so I'll probably have a good, full day of March Madness in my head this weekend. So yeah. I'll put on a shift for you because I can't get enough of it. It
sounds good, and I'll be here to listen to the podcast about it all the time.
Okay, well, hey,
I got to get it somehow. Right?
Yeah. I don't need you to watch the games; just listen to the podcast. That's all I care. Very good.
You've been looking at any of the Valspar tournament?
Yeah, well, Adam had one in the leaderboard.
Canadian boy, eh?
Canadian. Do I think he'll win it? No. But I see your guy JT had a good.
2 good days.
I'm happy it's going in the weekend. It's gonna be a crowded leaderboard, and that's all you can ask for. The players was so tough last weekend because of the rain and everything and the delays. I do like seeing them put it in the drink that much at 17. I get a lot of good sensation from that because I like how golfers of all people complain about the elements when they play a sport when it's non-physical and they got their meals catered and everything else. Even though I love the sport, as you know, but no, Valspar is a great course. You got JT's up there, Hadwin, Sam Burns, who won it last year, so should make for a really great weekend. Yeah,
no doubt. I thought it was awesome last weekend at the Players. I thought the conditions were unreal. For it being like that, like I was reading a lot of the stuff about like JT had a couple of pressers after, like he hit a pitch and wedge, I think 173 yards in the wind, like with the wind pushing it, and then hit a 5-iron or a 5-wood like 193. So I don't know. It's just crazy to see like that the wind does play that much of an effect, and whatever, but to watch all the mayhem ensue on 17, and I just thought it was awesome. Like you don't see very many pros shank balls like that. And for a 130-yard shot, 136, 140 yards, whatever it was, is a pretty standard shot, I would say, for most pros. So to see that many balls end up in the water, I thought was awesome. The last day to see Cam Smith stick it to that was insane. To take that line on
I
on
know.
leading the tourney, unreal.
Yeah.
Stones, like, insane.
Yeah, I'm looking now. Actually, Matthew Neesmith, American,
He's
he's
leading
on
now.
playing 18. He's 10 under today.
Just today?
Yeah, he's minus 14 for the tournament. Shot 10 under today.
Jeez.
He's wrapping up 18. My God.
Talk
Wow.
about a round.
That must be close to a course record. I mean, that's crazy.
Yeah. I think it's par 72 or 70.
Yeah, I think so.
So 60-62 is a good score.
So yeah, he's 10 under, wrapping up 8. Hadwin 12 under, Sam Burns, Stallings 11 under, your boy JT 10 under. So should make for a fun weekend. You get Stuart Sink, Shoffley is 8 under, Webb Simpson. So a lot of good golfers at the top.
Your boy Hovland was a favorite. He was the favorite going in.
Yeah, I don't even know. I'm looking at the leaderboard. He wasn't real. Johnson's 4 under, Morikawa's they're out of it. Nick Taylor, Hovland, where are you? I probably missed him already, but I don't see him. So he can't be that high up. Oh, he's only 2 under. He might miss the cut.
Yes, sir.
So yeah, I think the cut was 2 under when I left because I was watching basketball / that. I was flipping back and forth. No, I mean, this week you got March Madness, which I know you don't watch, but you got that, golf, afternoon hockey. I mean, it's
spring training.
Too much, but yeah. I'm going to try to consume it all. And any big plans this weekend? Hang with the pup, or any big plans you got on the hit the sim or?
Oh, you just named the whole weekend off. Like, I don't even got to chime in. You just named it all.
Yeah,
no, probably just relax at the house, hang out with the pooch, and movie nights, and I don't know, just take in the sports and try and find some time to hit the simulators. I'm sure I'll end up down there for 2 to 4 or 5 hours this weekend sometime. So yeah, I'll be playing. I'll be swinging the sticks.
Right. Well, that's good to hear. It's good to
yeah.
hear. Well, I appreciate you coming on today. I know it's Friday, so I appreciate you taking the time on your Friday night, but always great chat with you, and we'll do it again soon.
Yep. No, sounds good, Jug. Appreciate it.
Take care, buddy.
Yep. Later.
There's Casey Ward, everybody. Always fun chatting with Casey. He even embraces March Madness and basketball, which I know he doesn't care for. So good of him. And I watched a lot of basketball last night. I'm going to watch a lot of it this weekend, but Monday is going to be trade deadline special. We're going to start at 4:30. I'm going to try to get a guest on, and Matt Wright's going to come on later in the show. It's going to be about 2.5 hour show Monday. We're going to talk about the March Madness so far, the craziness. I mean, Kentucky loses last night. I mean, so far today, Villanova has moved on. Miami, Florida just beat USC by 2 points. I mean, you got Richmond at 12 move on last night. Creighton came back from 15 down to win. Ohio State wins today. Michigan 11. St. Peter's, the 15, beat Kentucky. So lots of craziness. New Mexico, another 12 gets by. So still lots of games tonight. Currently, you got Notre Dame is up on Alabama. So we'll see what comes out of that. You had Texas Tech, Romp, Montana State. Duke is on track tonight. So you can bet your bottom dollar I'll be tracking all of that. We'll, again, trade deadline special Monday, March Madness talk. We're going to get into all of that. And I just wanted to close the show by saying congratulations to the women's UNB hockey team for winning the AUS title last night in game 2 of their best of 3 against Santa FX, 4-0 win. And obviously the biggest congrats out of that group goes to the better half of the Warren children. Tally Warren gets the game-winning goal. And I couldn't be more proud. I plan on watching her next week in Prince Edward Island. But congratulations to the entire team. Lots of hard work. And to Tally, just congrats. I love you. And just continued success. So congratulations to that whole team, that program. You guys deserve it. So that's all for this week. Be back Monday, early start, 4:30, trade deadline special, March Madness breakdown. We're going to get to all of it. Hope you guys have a great weekend. This is To The Point.